I'm joined here today by the one, the only Jack Hermansson to take on Kelvin Gastelum at, of course, UFC Fight Island. Jack, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Not much, just training and preparing for the fight.
Of course, man. What's training camp kind of looking like for you so far? Are you just kind of starting it, or are you starting to really get to, the sort of the meat of it?
Uh, I've been training since like February for because I was supposed to fight Chris Weidman in May. So it's been basically a whole long training camp. That's finally it's time to come to an end. So now it's just the final preparations, and we're good to go.
And so, have you gotten to that point in training camp where it's getting a little bit too long for you? Like it's almost annoying. I mean, training since February. I assume it's a very long time to be in a training camp.
Yeah, the training is all right, but it's more about the mindset and so on. So right now I'm just like, oh, two weeks left. You have been training for so long, and finally you're just realizing that it's just around the corner. So I feel like now it's time to really get the focus in there and make the most of the time that's left.
And so, what do you do to avoid injuries? I know fighters sometimes they don't like to do camps that are too long because of the injuries. Do you have to be careful you don't catch anything yourself, or are you relatively healthy?
I think I basically train a lot all year round, so training camp doesn't it's not much different than my regular training. So I don't feel like there is a lot of more injury risk. I feel you're most of the risk of injury if you're training with new partners and if you're going to new gyms or bringing in new people. And I've basically been with the same folks, so we know each other, and usually we can go pretty hard without injuring each other.
And so, how has 2020 been for you? Because we know I'm sure you're trying to get back out there. You have this Chris Weidman fight that's supposed to happen a few times. Finally, they tell you you're fighting Kelvin Gastelum. I assume mentally it's got to start getting a little bit tough at some point.
Yeah, it's been a little bit tough just to like especially before the Weidman fight when you didn't know if the fight was gonna happen or so, because of the situation. But now that I know that I will be fighting and I will be fighting Gastelum and at the Fight Island card and so on. So now I feel like it's all right mentally, but definitely it's gonna be good to be fighting and get it over with, so to speak. Because. Uh, it's a long time to have your focus at something, and it's nice to yeah to make this fight happen, and then you can relax a little bit and prepare for a new task.
And so, when the opponent was switched to Kelvin Gastelum, I mean, were you happy with this opponent? Was this who you were hoping for if you didn't get the Weidman fight?
Definitely, I would prefer this fight to the Weidman fight
Yeah.
actually. So I've been asking for this fight many times before, and so I was super happy when I got this. I think that it turned out to the better.
And so, how do you like the matchup in this fight?
I like it very much. But top 10 guys in the middleweight division. It's gonna be a tough fight. So I see Gastelum as one of the best in the division. So I know it's gonna be a tough fight. But I believe that I have what it takes to beat him.
And so Gastelum, he had some. His two last fights were definitely interesting. We saw him against Darren Till, where he lost that one, and then he had Israel Adesanya, and we saw, that was a huge fight. What did you take away from those two fights? I'm sure you've watched both of them. What did you think of those performances?
Yeah, especially on the performance is pretty amazing. So he is the one that has made it the toughest for Adesanya so far. So you know that Kelvin is right up there with the absolute best in the division. So yeah, uh, I expect to fight a great fighter, and the fighter that fought Adesanya, I expect him to show up when we fight.
And so, what is a win here? What does that do for your career? We know not too long ago you're in sort of in the title talk. I assume a win here puts you in a great position as well.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's just what it does. You know, it puts me in a great position to look forward and upwards to the other top guys, and hopefully get one of those in the next fight if I win.
And so the big story with this fight is that, UFC Fight Island. First of all, what was your reaction when you found out about Fight Island? It was going to be for the European fighters. Did you like the idea when you first heard of it?
Yeah, I liked it. It's just like it feels such a UFC thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Let's do something that nobody else does. So it was really, really cool. And of course, there was a lot of rumors and were thinking where are this gonna be? And you know, I can't say that I was disappointed, but I didn't expect it to be at Fight Island at the Jazz Islands because. I thought that it was going to be something new, you know, a new place where they've never been before, and they've been there before. So, but it seems like I'm gonna do a new concept with. I believe they're gonna do the octagon outside, so outdoors. So that's gonna be something
Yeah, I assume you're like the
I'm looking
rest of
forward
us,
to.
where you thought the fight was going to be taking place in the Bahamas or one of the like Costa Rica, something really nice, and then you find out it's over there, and I mean it's cool, but it doesn't have the same charm.
Yeah, exactly. But when I speak to people, like people doesn't realize that they haven't been there before. So I feel like yeah, probably 50% of the fans doesn't know that it isn't a new thing, so they think it's
Yeah.
cool anyway. So I guess he did a good job to hype that up.
And so we know the last time they went over there in Abu Dhabi, I think that was back in September. People were talking about just how hot it was. I mean, you guys are going to be fighting outside. Are you worried about the heat? Are you worried about things like that?
I think about it, and it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, yeah, it looks like we're gonna be fighting at night or early morning or something like that, and the sun isn't, maybe isn't that high. So hopefully, it's gonna be a little bit more chilly than midday. So I think we will cope with that, and I feel like the situation is the same for me and my opponent. So as long as that's the case, it's all right.
And so, of course, there's the big travel. You guys are going to get tested for COVID quite a few times. Are you worried at all about the travel? Does it kind of make you nervous?
No, no, it's fine. I think UFC gonna make it safe for us. I think it's gonna go perfectly fine.
And so, I do want to talk about your last fight a little bit. It was quite a bit ago, back in September. Unfortunately, things didn't quite go your way. How do you sort of look back at that fight, and what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, I basically learned that. Yeah, you know what I did in that fight was to lock in a little bit too much. I knew that I was gonna be a superior fighter on the ground, so that's basically where my head was at. It was just like you gotta get him down, you gotta take him down, and I forgot a little bit about the rest of the game, which made it a little bit too obvious for him, and he could time that level change, and he caught me basically. So. What I learned was that in the next fight I'm gonna be more unpredictable. I know that people are gonna fear my takedown and my ground game. That's what they're gonna prepare for. So hopefully I can give this something else to think about. So that's what I learned.
We talk about your ground game. I think you surprised a lot of your opponents with your ground game. Kelvin Gastelum, obviously, he's got great boxing, has a good wrestling background. How do you like the matchup, though, on the ground with him? Obviously, with his wrestling, your ground game. Is that something that you like?
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't see too much of Kelvin's ground game, but I think he's all right, and I think he's a black belt if I don't. Yeah, and he's probably all right there, but I still feel like I got a advantage on anybody in the division if I get him down to ground. So it's gonna be interesting, and I hope that I can bring the fight there for sure. So yeah,
All right,
yeah,
just one last question for you,
we'll see.
kind of a simple one, but how do you see this fight playing out against Kelvin Gastelum?
It's I can see it be a long fight. You know, it's hard to get Kelvin out of there. I will try to finish if I get the opportunity. I see myself fighting a hard fought fight that's going to be a little bit everywhere. A little bit on the stand up, a little bit in the wrestling, clinch, and the ground game. So I'm prepared for anything, and yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting.
Of course, it's going to be a great fight. Thanks so much for the time, Jack. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.